Welcome. We are talking about building momentum, moment by moment. All right, moment by moment. All right, you guys might not be able to read that, but ultimately, this is what this is. All right, so building momentum moment by moment. Okay, so this is the process of that. We're going to take each momentary action is just as great or greater than, potentially greater than even the previous moment, which is still intensely valuable. So when it's intensely valuable, when you make that moment intensely valuable, okay, meaning like you can make $15,000 in a second, $15,000 in a minute. Okay, so you could do that. That is a different vibration that you're tapping into to be able to tap into the wealth of the world and be able to help people. Okay, so moment by moment. All right. So the process of this building momentum moment by moment is developing minute by minute by minute, just minute adaptations and updates and upgrades, atomic upgrades. All right, I'm gonna get into a couple of different stuff on here, like different quotes that I've been writing down. These are going to be some different topics that I get into, and I have a couple of important ones that I've been um, cultivating. So ultimately, you are growing in your harvest time. You are planting seeds. You are reaping what you sow. And also, when you sow even better, more valuable seeds, you reap even more valuable harvests. Okay. So, like, you have a more valuable harvest. You are fresher than toothpaste. You are elevating like one, two, three. You are intentional with everything that you do, everything that you create, everything that you recreate. You touch every timeline. So you're moving within different timelines and you're choosing realities. You're choosing parallel realities that are building your momentum. So when you set your mind on a proper structure where you're developing who you are, you're doing the supplementation, you're building yourself, you're building your hormones, you're building your electricity, you're building yourself, you're building your business, you're building like the way that you're developing your life, but also integrated aspects of your life, the integrated aspects of your life. All right. And I had one more too that it was on my other phone. Give me one sec. I'm going to step off camera. So ultimately, the other one, it was on here. I know I typed it up. Oh, I cut it. That's why. Dang. So I ended up cutting and pasting it, but I didn't paste it back. Dang, no worries. Anyways, I was also getting into sustainability, the availability to be able to change, the availability to be able to do things, to be able to develop yourself, set yourself up is all by building momentum and setting yourself up for success. You can throttle your life forward so quickly. You just have to set the right intentions. You have to have the right mindset and the right system to be able to develop it. And then right when you develop that system and it takes off, you take off with it. And then you don't have to come back to those states because you have a buffer. You have a really big buffer compared to what people have. And so when you have a buffer, you can start to make more investments. Like they said, it takes 8 years for someone to get 100K, but it only takes 1 year to go from 900K to $1 million because you already have the leverage of the $900,000. So the development of this is to exponentially grow your wealth, develop who you are as a being. So increase your bag. All right, let's just not even like beat around the bush. Increase your bag, bro. Every moment. All right, increase your bag. The cultivation of this is 9 figures, by the way. The cultivation of this is by having a different mindset to what money is and how long it's going to take you to develop it. Now it's not about you. It's not about you developing it or how quick it comes along. It matters that it does come along. It matters of a system that works transgenerationally, exponentially, generationally, that doesn't squander the wealth. And so you can exponentially grow the wealth through IUL. All right. Building momentum. So I'm going to get into this. In all of these types of things, there's a specific way of building momentum. In the moment, you're changing and adapting moment by moment by moment by moment by moment. And each one of those is creating more momentum. And so when you step into more moments, consistent, all right, and discipline. So this is IUL is being your own bank. You are being the bank, all right? And then having the right structure, you could be out of the system. You could be private and out of the system. Out of the matrix. And if you know, you know. Okay, if you know, you know. But the consistency, the discipline, this is what you have to do moment by moment. If you set the right structure up, you have a trust, you have the IUL, you have a means of cash flow, you have some assets like real estate, boats, vehicles, any of those businesses, anything like that. That's all going to be like assets. A trust is something that holds the holding company, IULs, additional ministries. So the whole point about a trust is so then you can have a bunch of different assets within it. So you can be a minister, you can have vehicles, you can have businesses, you can have S corps, so that's the main thing. And then you want to get the right trust for you. So it's not that you just get the right trust for you, and there's levels to trust. So if you need to and want to learn the levels of trust, then that's what you also got to develop as well. All right. So a trust sets up, you have a ministry, you have an IUL. Now you're making money. All right. So you're making money from cash flow, which would be like, so trading, let's say you made a $15,000 day. What you'll do is you will send, 5,000 to the IUL, 5K to the IUL for the month. Boom, done. And then that's in one day. You'll put another 5K into, Tasty Trade. Let that grow. Boom, done for the month. And then you'll live on 5K for the month. And now you're set. You put that in your savings. All right. And then you're already set. So when you make the $15,000 in one day, you're set with assets already gaining, already have movement, money, love, speed. You know what I'm saying? Money, love, speed. So that's the main process of this. Savings. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm saying, y'all. Now the next thing, so then you get another 15K day. Another 15K day. Well, you don't put it in the IUL because you can't until the next month. You can set a couple of those things aside to where you already have those payments, but that will slow your money. So really what you want to do is you want to expand your wealth. So you want to acquire assets. You want to acquire things that build cash flow. You want to acquire a new EIN. You can trade the same amount with an EIN too, and you can do a business entity within it with trading. And so that can also have a multitude of different what you're developing. You can acquire assets. You can acquire collectibles, gold, silver, lawful money. All right. Like I didn't get here developing all this in 1 month. I got all of this by developing over 1 decade. Okay. So like even 2 decades or 1.5 decades, but like literally developing and studying all this stuff had taken some time because of how much it's gatekept and gaslit out of the media, or people don't put their eggs in that basket because they have a certain identity that they think or whatever. So it's studying, gold and silver assets. All right. Hard collectibles, cards. So for those, I think I'm just going to step off, and then I'll just have to edit it later. That's the one cool thing I love about pre-recorded videos, that you can edit them. But also keeping it as raw as possible, to be honest. So that's the main thing, all right? That's the main thing. Like if you sneeze or you cough or something, you just want to edit that out, by all means, So there's no problem with self-correction. There's no problem with self-correction. It's when we try to correct others that will, so it's not about correcting others, it's about correcting self. And it's also about continually getting better. Moment by moment, building the momentum, consistency, discipline, building privacy. You are cultivating out of the matrix by developing this type of way. So now when you are leveraging this, you can actually, I would say you can afford the system. Now, if you have the intelligence and you can afford the system to be able to do this, meaning that all of your funds are set up a right way, you have the right EIN, you have the right structure, you have all these other different types of things that you're developing and setting up. What you're doing is you're starting to work towards an even greater way of being able to represent yourself, etc. All right. So I'm going to get into this. All right. So a 9-figure business or system, 9-figure system. So that's exactly what I was talking about, is a 9-figure system, setting up a 9-figure system. Okay. And the way that you're developing this is how probable is it for you to be able to get there in the least amount of time. And you can actually be like, oh, that's actually relatively not that bad. I just got to put more intention and value into the moment by moment creations and thoughts and mindsets and what I'm actually doing, actions that I'm doing, habits that I'm doing on a day-by-day basis that are all in alignment, developing in alignment. So the more that we're also aligned in private, okay, then that's what I'm saying, is that you'll have the private trust. You'll have a private trust, which it'll have the right EIN. So it'll be a 9-8 because it's private, foreign private. All right. Not with the US or without the US, referring to the corporation. Okay. And so it will be a private trust, which will go and also acquire an IUL policy with the beneficiary or multiple beneficiaries, multiple trustees over that IUL policy, transmitting utilities over that trust. Now, I will have a controlling interest of the trust. And the trust can also be like you can have that trust be, I guess you could say McDonald's, or you can have it be like a type of thing like that. Okay, so that's what I'm saying is like people do that. They set it up that way. They're corporations, but they'll set them up trusts. They have trust all throughout it. That's just the layout of it, but it's a whole bigger type of thing. So you have to see a private trust will hold an IUL. The IUL is the bank. It's the Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. There's certain benefits to Index Universal Life Insurance policies. Seek those out with professionals like Brandon Clark, where you don't ever have a, so if you make 7%, it goes to here. And then, so if you lose any, it just stays at 0. So you don't ever lose your funds of what you've made by investing in Index Universal Life Insurance policies. And by starting to do it, no matter what, it's going to exponentially grow. And then that exponential growth will go to your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and even potentially your own life, because you can borrow against it, etc. Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're just borrowing. You're borrowing, some time from the Lord to be able to develop a deeper relationship with the Lord. Ask for forgiveness. Show up with a compassionate heart. Be in loving kindness, and cultivate and forgive our own selves for our own angers, because we tried to control a situation and our shortcomings had come from that. Okay, so the main process of escaping out of the matrix or becoming more private takes knowledge. This is educational entertainment purposes only. The main process of this, I hope you guys are entertained. I hope you guys feel educated. The main process of this is moment by moment, you're going to get smarter and smarter. You're going to get more and more intelligent. The more intellectually sound that you become, the more consistent and disciplined you are by being studious, by being in your study, by studying consistently, by reading, by writing, by reading books, by writing books, by writing in a journal, by taking notes, by praying, by creating prayers, affirmations. Sticky note prayers are some of my favorite things, where you get a sticky note, you write a prayer and you give it to somebody, you stick it on someone's car, whatever it is. And that will make their day. And then you don't have to put your name on it. You can literally, I'm not saying I do this, but I'm saying like I've seen it done. And also it is a really cool way. I do it with people that I know. I don't really go out and do that, but I'm just letting you guys know. It is that thing. Too, some people literally get stickers that have like peace and love, and they go and stamp them all around the cities. They go and stamp them everywhere. And that's also a way to spread awareness, because there's how many passerby or walkers are there on a day-by-day basis, including homeless people. You're just hitting different factions. Like think of life as divergent. There's different factions. When you go somewhere, you're like, oh, these are the factionless. These are factionless. They don't have no homes. They're homeless. They're factionless. They probably rarely, maybe sometimes have some food. They may or may not be there in their mindsets or their heart spaces or whatever. Or maybe they know too much. Maybe they know too much. Maybe they know a little too much. But the development of this is that we can start a new way, and that we can learn how to be able to be in a unity, or I-manity, but unity, we, I and I, us connected, that I can see me and them, and they can see me and them and me, and you can see the cultivation of that. Like that's what I'm saying, is that's where the development is consistency. That like, I train for you. I mean, I do train for me, but I also train so that I can show up to be the best version to help you as much as I possibly can, to be a valuable asset to the community, to be as confident, to be as self-assured as I possibly can be. So then when I show up, that no matter what, you guys can depend upon me, that I can be a stronghold for you guys, a fortress for you guys, a wall for you guys, a freaking roof for you guys, whatever you guys freaking need, we could do. Land, cultivation of gardens, cultivation of electroculture, cultivation of innovations, free tech, Tesla tech, free energy, the development of this, setting up different disciplines is by learning moment by moment. You're not going to learn all of this stuff in one day. Okay, you're not going to learn all this stuff in one day, and don't try to just go and do it all by yourself. Like there are things like what I've set up that not a lot of people have done yet in the market space. And I hope in the marketplace, in the market space, there's so much room for scaling for exactly what I'm talking about, because building moment by moment, the money that you're making by setting up the right structure, and there are tax strategists and people who are beyond just tax preparers, and people who are public accountants. And this is not coming at any public accountant or anything like this. It's coming at that there is a specific way to build trust, and not everyone believes it. People gaslight themselves out of it. There is a different way to build a structure. Like In-N-Out is a private owned, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a privately owned corporation. It's a private company. And so there are more private companies too. Like it is a franchise. It's a private franchise, not a public franchise. But I can guarantee you that there's even deeper privacy, like where they don't have brick and mortar, but they are a business. Like there is a lot of different types of things that are set up like this, and you have to see beyond the veils of illusion, the illusions of separations, and like start to see the unity and everything, and actually how the market space actually needs you. Like the market space actually needs you, because if everyone were to be their own bank, you guys we would generationally impact the entire generations to come. Like the kingdom would come. You know what I'm saying? Because it'd be magnificent in a way that we'd be setting up securities rather than reservatories. Okay. We have much more abundance than we realize. We have so much more abundance than we realize. We have to start thinking like like the Na'vi. We have to start thinking like the Na'vi from Avatar and stop thinking as human as we have in the past. We have to change his story. All right. We have to change his story. The way that you change his story is by rewriting yours. The way you change history is by rewriting your history, by rewriting your past, by not identifying with your past any longer, by being able to move on, be able to cultivate and develop yourself in the present, moment by moment, in the moment, at the moment, in the moment, and then developing yourself over a trajectory of years, decades, for life. You're doing this for life. You're doing this for life. You're getting better for life. So get on it. Like, you got miles to run, you got sit-ups to do, you got pull-ups to do, you got trading to study, you got books to study, you have spirituality to study, you have index universal life insurance policies to study, generational wealth impact to study, business impact to study, and also living in a really awesome life in the midst of all of it. You, as being an entrepreneur, a digital nomad, a business owner, an investor, you have the trajectory to be better by standing taller. You are standing taller. You're standing happier. You are standing more grounded. You're standing more patient and less impoverished than ever. More patient, yet less impoverished than ever. You are feeling the abundance. You are feeling the magnitude and the amplitude, the amplification and the magnitude of your prosperity and of your bioluminescent fields bathing in such a high vibration of light, which is what we would call abundance and joy and peace, peacefulness and gratitude and blissfulness and ecstasy, and that this can continually rise into even more peace and stillness. All right. The eighth thing that God said was good was gold. So after he rested on the seventh day, and he said the first 6 days that these things are good. Okay. Seventh day he rested. On the eighth thing that God said was good was gold. Okay. Was gold. Okay. So the process of this is if you study the vibration of gold, it's incorruptible. If you study copper, silver, gold, platinum, I would say just study natural resources. So actually I'm in RNR, which is reserve for natural resources, and certain things like this that you could start to develop and see certain things with the value of it. And you could start to be more connected into what you're doing and developing over a high period of time, that you are starting to set yourself up for success moment by moment. Okay. And so you did the 1K, you did the 1K a day, then you did the 3K a day, then you did the 15K a day, then you did the 30K a day, then you did the 100K month, then you did the 200K month, and then you never look back and you just keep on growing and keep on exponentially growing naturally. It's embedded within the subconscious mind, within this programming of how we can interconnect with the spirits around us, that we can start to feel elevated here in the now, because we are starting to communicate with old past versions of how we've already felt abundant, but also connecting with future selves of where we also see, like, this makes me feel abundant. Okay. And being in the feeling is the secret. By being in the vibration, using the power of intention and your attention, using the power of you being able to say, I am is where it's at. It's here right now. And then when we're talking about you, that's secondary. When we're talking about them, that's tertiary and beyond. So the present tense, the primary moment, the prime time, the prime is inside of us. The most primal thing, the most connected thing to originality is inside of us, not external of us necessarily. It is external of us. It's everywhere external of us, but it's shouted amongst everywhere because it's inside of us, and we are expressing through our bioluminescent fields the depiction of what we're and everything that we're living in right now. Okay, setting up moment by moment. You're becoming fresher than toothpaste. You're just fresher than toothpaste. You're fresher than Colgate. You're fresher than, Listerine. You're fresher than, any of these types of things. And you're setting yourself up for a higher vibration daily. You're setting yourself up for a higher vibration daily. You're becoming the lion. You're becoming the lion of your reality. You're starting to develop yourself, get your certifications. You're starting to become more empowered. You're starting to take day by day action where you're like, I'm gonna do YouTube every day, and it don't even matter because I'm working today because I chose to work today, and not that I have to go work for the man. And I'm gonna work harder here than I'll ever have to work for them because I even put just 10 or 20% here, or I put 100% here. But I'm saying like even just putting 10% here is going to be way more powerful than putting 80 and 90% of there. And that's just by choosing to start, by just choosing to start, by saying, I will, by saying, yeah, I can do that. So someone offers you a game of basketball, and to be able to play basketball, and you have like, the one white ball at the end, and then all the other balls are like the orange ones. And so the orange one, and then you have like one white, one black, or two white, one black. It's something like that, or two black, one white. It's something like that at the very end. And so you take the basketball and you shoot, take the basketball and you shoot, you take the basketball and you shoot, take the basketball and you shoot, and then you got to move over. Every time you make one, you move over. All right, then I got to move over here. Okay, then I got to go, stuff like this. And then you go up, you can go up, all this different type of stuff. So when you're doing that, it's just by how many shots that you're taking. Like you just get better and better and better and better at it because you're taking more shots. Because you decided to say, I will, to actually play the game, you actually get benefits by just saying yes. So that's what I'm saying is there is some type of life. Like when you say yes, when you just say yes to life, you start to live a higher vibrational reality. Okay. That's where the development is. Say yes more. Say yes more. Develop. Say more yeses. Because you're in the yes energy. You're in the high vibrational energy. I'm not saying that there's any benefits to no. There is a lot of benefits to no. Saying no and having a no period is a very important time. It just means that you're saying yes to other things. If you are saying no to this, you're saying yes to something else. If you're saying yes to this, you're saying no to something else. And it's just because that's the way that vibrational reality is communicating with one another. So it's by setting up those, synchronicities that you are moving into higher vibrations. You are moving into a more compassionate vibration. You're just creating every single day peace and love. I hope there's some people out there just like me who are doing other videos, who are developing music. You guys might be other creators. You guys might be athletes. You guys might be fitness influencers. You guys might be IG influencers, ambassadors, whatever. If you guys might be digital nomads or other traders, peace and love to each and every one of you guys. Peace and love. So I hope each and every one of you is starting to realize that building momentum is just moment by moment consistency and discipline over the long period, forever, just forevermore. And and your main goal, I would say, is that your trajectory is forevermore, is everlasting, it's eternity, it's eternal. And your main goal is preservation. Is preservation, conservation, and that is of energy. And so you're not hemorrhaging energy to other beings who don't deserve your energy. Do not cast pearls amongst swine. If these pigs don't get you, don't even go around them. Don't even go around them because they're not even able to comprehend all the pearls that you're handing out. They think it's just, they don't even get it. They don't even know what it is. Okay. They don't even know. They're not even put on there like that's a $2 million, pearl necklace around my wife's neck. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's, and they don't even see it because they don't see that. They're just like, because they're pigs, they're swine, they're lowly. And so that's also, there's so many connections. You guys can see this. All right. Building momentum moment by moment is developing yourself and having a system to begin with. So you're not going to just do one thing. Okay. The big things are, so let's say like you do car washes, you do laundromats, you do gas stations, you have stocks, you develop trading in futures, you put all of that money into longer term things. So you get, 2,000 here, 4,000 here, 8,000 here, 10,000 here, 15,000, 20,000, 35,000, 65,000, 85,000, 125,000, 155,000, 165,000, 200,000, 225,000, 245,000. It keeps going and keeps going. You're going to put that into something that exponentially grows and can be protected, and then you can borrow against that and live on the interest, and then your family can live on it too when it's within a trust, and that moves directly into someone, literally into beneficiary name. So that's the whole thing too, and then they can operate that bond note. They can actually use that process. Consistency and discipline, that you showed up consistently over and over again, and you actually had the right discipline, you had the right structure, you had the right build of structure. So then two, you know when break of structure is going to happen, so you can be purposely in that demolition, so then you can build a new, and you can build even better. All right, there is something in building a new. All right, cash flow assets. You might want to acquire more businesses. You might want to acquire online businesses, e-com. You might want to jump into podcasting. You might want to jump into one-on-ones. You might want to jump into whatever it is. Okay, products, services, things like this, or a multitude of things. So for me, I would say find 7 incomes that you enjoy, and you might have to go slow because you're gonna have to and they also have to be balanced with each other. So for instance, a lot of people say, TC, you got a scattered brain. TC, you got a scattered brain. He's just so scattered, like he doesn't ever stay on top of. Well, that's me, like if you guys want to get the crazy cool downloads the way that I get it, like that's the way that I get it. Like sometimes you don't get downloads all like what everyone thinks. You get it because of you've been through some stuff, and you've seen some things, and you've experienced things, you've done it, and you've acquired the reward and the award of the responsibility, the accountability for what you know. And you've built the wisdom. You have developed yourself in everything that you're doing. So like I said, so if you do 25K, a week, 25K a week, and you put that into an IUL, all right? $25,000 into an IUL, be your own bank. You would never touch the 25,000. Okay, you want to touch the 25,000. That'll be your bottom savings. Okay, then you'll invest per month 2,500 to 5,000. All right, to 5,000 into your IUL. All right, so that's exactly what you'll do right here. So 25,000 is going into the IUL. That'll be your emergency fund. All right, that'll be your emergency fund, or have 5,000 stored somewhere where that'll be your emergency. But this will be like your long-term family emergency fund. All right, 2,500 to 5,000 will go into monthly investments. And you can borrow against this. So say you make, 2,500 to 5,000 per day or whatever, and so you're not going to use all of it, but you can borrow against it. So like, for instance, let's say at the end of monthly investments, as you keep doing it and it keeps getting larger, you could borrow, 2,500 here, or, 5,000 here. So you can always do that from time to time that you're doing that. Or you can already have some other capital. So like if you're making large amounts of money, but you only are putting 2,500 or 5,000 in at a lower end, because you have a higher net worth, you have you're at a higher trajectory in your finances, that you are making the $25,000 a week. So that is a 100K month. So you're at 100K month. All right. I'm going to jump into this, and I'm going to see, like, this is what I'm saying in trading, developing yourself as an online entrepreneur, developing yourself like a digital nomad. So That's the way that I see myself. Is I'm a digital nomad entrepreneur. That's exactly what I am. Okay, without the US. 100K month. All right, and times that by 12, that'll be 1.2 million. And that is as, self to most people. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. All right. So $1.2 million. And now let's say that's like if you get it every single time. All right. Like you don't mess up. But a 25K week, let's say that you do get that like quite often, a 25K week, you're at 100K month. So let's just do that. So like if you have a 100K month, what are you going to be? Those installments are going to be a lot higher. So you're going to open a bigger IUL or multiple IULs, family IULs, additional IULs. You might buy real estate, acquire real estate because you're going to have, like 50K, and you're going to be able to do this like every month thereover. You're going to be able to make a 50K month. You're going to be able to be at a 50K month relatively pretty easy. And so you could do that times 12, and that's 600K. So that's your yearly. And then you could do the math based on that in the IUL, that if you have, 600K as your income per se, or cash flow, I guess you could say, even if it's credit or whatever, that could be going into something even more valuable. So this means like the 600K, let's say that you put 20% of it away. So you put 180K, like I just did that, 180K, right as I did that too. See, immediate humility. 180K, okay? 180K is 20%. So you put that in your index universal life insurance policy. So the first year you put 180K, maybe even the second year you put 180K. Now you have 360K in there. So at that point, it'll just grow exponentially and you don't have to touch it ever again. So that's what I'm saying. And so at that point, that will grow exponentially, and then you don't ever have to work a 9 to 5. And then at that point, what you'll do is you'll live as a minimalist. You live simply, you live and you enjoy the fruits of life, of actually like the simplicities of life, the minimalism of life. You start to appreciate darkness and lightness. You start to appreciate, silence and prayer and being able to sit still and be with family, etc. You know what I'm saying? Have land, grow food, eat healthy food, be a foodie and love being a foodie in your own way, but it's healthier food per se. You know what I'm saying? And wanting something better for your life. All right. That's the first thing. I don't require everyone to be a breatharian, but being happier is, I would say, like something that we are to require of ourselves, that we are to want of ourselves, that we are to desire of ourselves. Okay. Index universal life insurance. That's what this is. So if you're putting 180K, you can do that for 1, 2, 3 years. Okay. And then you never really have to trade again. You never, and I'm not saying you won't ever, but I'm saying you technically wouldn't have to do that ever again. Okay. That's a 3-year job. And you might have later investments that you might do that might be longer term rather than being like futures. It might be in stock, whatever, or all of the above, whatever. It doesn't matter. Doing all of the above, I would say do all of the above. Go big. Go big. Go big before we go home. All right. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, is that when you're setting this up, then you can live on this. You can acquire assets. So now this is also within a trust. Having the right system. So look, the trust is right here. Trust. All right. And then right here, IUL. All right. And that's your bank. All right. And then you are the transmitting utility, the TMU, the transmitting utility. Okay. You are the beneficiary of that. Okay. Of that IUL index universal life insurance policy. and it's opened in the trust. It's opened in the trust. And you are the overseer of that and the beneficiary of that, meaning it goes to the benefit of you. Okay? So then, and then anybody who follows you, and then you could say, and or you can also be just the TMU for the trust, which that's also it. And so that's indirectly, anyways, in the structure, it's set the same thing up, that you're the TMU to the IUL. Okay? So now what you're also doing is you could set this up. You can have an LLC or a holding company, holding. And then you can have other LLCs and vehicles owned by those LLCs, owned by those houses, owned by that real estate, okay, owned by that estate or whatever. You can have different vehicles, you know, all these other different things. And you're building a tree. That's what you're doing. You can also have a ministry, all right? A private ministry, a PMA, all right? Now, two, you can develop this, and this is the way that you set it up. And then you also, as a TMU, you're gonna have your passport, passporte, passaporta, passport. You're gonna have one of those, passaporte, passporte, passaporta, passport. There's 3 different languages in the passport. That's why I said it that way, because there's 3 different languages. Stop playing with me. I'm just joking. Passport, TMU. So you're a transmitting utility and your passport's corrected. So you are a national. All right. And you have so you're national and you are a national. You have nationality of Luxarum Trust. You are a member of Luxarum Trust. And you might be the initiating member, or you might be the primary member. The prime minister. You might be the prime member of it. All right. You might be the first person that opened it, the grantor. Okay. Who opened this, and you have nationality, and you told them, hey, I have nationality and I'm considered what we call a Californian. I'm not of the state of California, but I'm a Californian. I'm in California state, a man upon the land upon California, not within the commercial jurisdiction, officer. And so this is what you're saying. This is exactly what I'm saying. So trust this, that you are your own bank. You are your own bank no matter what. And a lot of people outsource their own banking to other banks because they don't know the knowledge to do their own banking. And that's why it gets to that point where you have a third party creditor. Okay. But we're not third party creditors. We're first party creditors, homie. We're secured party creditors, homie. We're first party creditors. That's what we are. Okay. I want that to be trending. We're first party creditors. We're secured creditors. Okay. Time to throw a party. So you have a ministry. Okay. This is where you do, and you can have the foundation too. You can even have a foundation here. A foundation. So it's like how the whole estate rocks. All right. How the whole estate is built and working. How the whole system is set up to acquire vehicles, to acquire land. Who are the transmitting trustees? Who are the utilities? What is their goals? What does the Declaration of Trust say? What are the articles of organization for any of those LLCs within that trust, public or private trust, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a foundation, a ministry, and you can have a philanthropy. So you can even do, and maybe I'm not to use all these specific words because some of these words are of the matrix, like they'll use those specific words, but like in certain ways. But what you'd say is it's a gift or a donation. So you would do donations. It'd be through donations, and it'd be like a nonprofit. But you would have QR codes which would be able to acquire donations, and that would also be a form of like non-taxable income. Non-taxable income. All right. And then that is also going to go right back into the trust to feed the whole trust. Okay. And then 2, trusts are going to have beneficiaries. They're going to have generational lines. So like if nobody's opened a trust in my family and I open a trust, then anybody in my family now has all this trust money, even though I have been long gone or whatever later on, like I've been long gone and they have this. They have the development to be able to build this. They have the insight to be able to do it. They got the videos. They have the way that they could set it up. Then this will help them develop and strengthen and get better, okay, over time. All right. So that's what I'm saying. All right. Setting up your trust, your estate, your bank, your transmitting utility with the right passport as a national through what? A trust. A trust. That's what the trust is. It's a Luxarm trust. Okay. It's directly connected. So you are without the US. And so you would say, I'm a Californian upon the land. Okay, that's the way that I'm in their jurisdiction. Then you get a private ID too as well with the trust. And then that vehicle would be owned by the trust, and that would be an exempt vehicle. That would be a non-taxable vehicle. It would not be registered. It would not be registered because it's owned. It's actually, and it's private. It's exempt. That's what I'm saying. So setting that up is, so your vehicle's down here, and your boats and houses, all these different things. And some of these are real estate LLCs, depends on what the LLC is. And you can have a multitude of them all within the same trust. This is what I'm saying. People don't teach trust. They don't teach trust enough. So they're still stuck on LLCs, bro. And like S corps. That's where they're stuck at. I'm not saying an S corp is bad. I'm saying like an S corp is the heart and the middle of it, where you can put all these different things into the S corp and it all goes all right back, and then you can do one big filing just based on this. And two, if here is owned by a 9(8), which is a private trust, this is all private funds anyways. They're only in the private. They're not in the public. They're not going to release those funds. They're not going to release those funds because they're private. They don't have to, because it's only public individuals and public entities that will cultivate with that taxable thing. All right. So that's what I'm saying. All right. Luxarm Trust. So now too, this can acquire, so you can acquire members. All right. You can acquire members of Luxarm. You can acquire members in your ministry. And the way that you do this, and a lot of people think that this is like extra. A lot of people think that this is extra, but when you have it like this, it's set up so well that you never have to really worry about your family ever again, because it's so easy to be able to pass trust to trust to trust to trust. And when it's private, it's powerful. And two, I'm going to go into the next thing where you get every family member who becomes a member within the trust has a duty to get an IUL policy in their name and a private birth record. Okay, a private birth record. Because this would keep them private and protect them from all public stuff, because it would be evidence. And the IUL would be an insurance banking indemnity bond to protect that person. It's a life insurance bond on that person for that person. They did it for them. So they're insuring their life, that they're going to be able to pay their life no matter what, and potentially maybe other people. Like when they say you paid the price, like that's what I'm saying is like you can pay something that will go generations from you today. You see what I'm saying? Like it will meet you 300 years from now, 400 years from now, when you're long gone. Someone will benefit because of you who showed up today, and that created that type of wave. All right. All right. For instance, I'm going to erase this. So take a mental picture of this. But ultimately, trust, a 9(8) trust, which will be Luxarm, private trust. You have declaration of trust. You set up your secure party creditor process, the F56 form, the W8 Ben form, the schedule fee, all these other different types of things that you set up. Okay. You have an index universal life insurance policy, either in your name or the trust name. You're the transmitting utility of the 9A trust. You have all of your, passport documentation with the IUL. You eliminate all your credit cards. You eliminate all your banking accounts. What you do is you get a 9-8 number that's what the 9-8. You get that from the IRS with a phone call as a private foreign national. I'm a private foreign national with a private foreign trust, and I am a member of that trust, and I need to be able to do banking here, and whatnot. And so you get authorized jurisdiction with a 9-8 number, and that 9-8 number is what you can do to go get a bank account. And then you get a bank account, you can get a phone number, you can get an address, you can get all these other different things, which will help all of your LLCs. Okay, it'll help all your LLCs, or you might acquire real estate. Still, those LLCs will build cash flow, et cetera, et cetera. Some of them might have land. Some of them might have vehicles, helicopters, houses, vineyards. You know what I'm saying? Like orange groves. It could have any of these things. Okay, because the LLC is like all of it. And then you might own the land. You might actually own the land, the property on the land. You might have the land patent over the land, is what I'm saying, because it's private. And then all your vehicles, private. None of them have to be registered because it's all within a private trust. Now you have to carry yourself like you are a sovereign king and queen. And that's what they mean by sovereign. Sovereign meaning that when you are in a trust, you are considered a king or a queen. So you're kinging yourself, you're queening yourself. Okay. This is what I'm saying. So the 9-8 is developed. You're a transmitting utility. You are the intercommunicator, between all other different aspects of this. You're the living being, really. You're the living being operating the transmitting utility. You're the living being operating the transmitting utility. All right. And you have the secured party. You have the security. You secured the collateral over that of the transmitting utility of the debtor, because you're the living being who has acquired their estate again, who has reaccessed their estate, who has secured their estate. Then, two, you can put all those securities into the 9-8 trust. And then that 9-8 trust, you can teach your family to live privately, to operate privately, and to do better. And everything happens from the businesses, that the businesses buy everything, and you can write everything off because it's within the trust. It's within all these other different types of things. All right. And I know this sounds like a lot. I know this sounds like conspiracy or whatever. No, I've done my study. This is facts. This is straight up facts. Like literally what I'm saying is your estate is who you are. You can turn your SSN into an estate. You could also put your estate inside of this. So you can put your bond note, your birth certificate, all this type of stuff. We'll get into that too. I'll do a whole nother video on birth certificates, authorization, passports, doing the full national process, like being a national and cultivating with your nationality, being able to do right of travel, having the right plates, having the right finances, having the right, effort, ability to be able to do everything that you ever wanted to do. And then I know this sounds crazy, but you get to kind of show off a little bit. You get to show out a little bit, because a lot of people were like, I don't know what this person's doing. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're building. I don't know why they're acting like that. I don't know. I've never met somebody who is like that, and then now they see you accomplish all the things that you get to accomplish, and you get to build yourself on such a powerful level. You should be proud of yourself that you overcame all the hate. You've overcome all the hate, all of the negative talk, negative self-talk, negative other talk, confirmation hiccups. You have, overcome. You have, stood over. You're overstanding of all the things, you've accomplished, and you keep accomplishing. You keep getting better. You keep developing yourself. You keep becoming a better member of the internal society. All right. You see what I'm saying? You get to develop yourself to the best of your ability. This is also acquiring this. And then two, you can have your trading accounts. There's nowhere on here it really says trading, but you could do a trading account through an LLC. So you can have so under here, let's say you get your trading accounts. So now when you make profits, if it's in the 98 number to where this is going to, so you're making it in the 98 number. So you're making the money with the 98 number. And the 98 number is going to immediately to a bank account to a 98 number. That's completely private. It's still staying private. That is someone who's developed themselves to such a high capability to where that's non-taxable income. That is not capital gains because it's not in the public. Okay, so that's the main thing. And so that's what I'm saying. And so when you can start to do that and you keep it in private, and then you also what? So now you'll take that in private and you'll go and you'll move it you'll borrow it against yourself because it's acquired that. You'll borrow it against it and you'll put that money as debit into an IUL policy. And then that will exponentially grow. Okay, so even when you're borrowing against the loan, this will out-earn this loan any day. And you'll continually make money and you will live on the interest. I mean, literally exponentially compound interest of the growth generationally, and then with everyone getting IULs in your family, with multiple people trading, knowing how to trade, knowing how to cultivate multiple things, you can do so many things. You can start the ministry, develop the ministry, be a minister. You can cultivate with donations, QR codes, donations, all these things like this as a certain thing, and you can literally develop this so powerfully. Peace and love. Love each and every one of you guys. I hope you guys found some value of this. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Share this with somebody that you feel is of value. And two, when you guys like and you comment and you tell me what you guys think, that actually really, really helps the algorithm, but it also helps me. So also hit the bell icon, and I will see you guys in the next one.